Hello everybody, it's Miss Jaimie from the Hampton Bays Public Library and welcome to Yarn Pom Pom Bookmarks. So today we are going to be making our own bookmarks and these lovely yarn pom-poms to go on top of them. So in your kit you should have one paper bookmark with a hole punched at the top. And we have another bookmark and a color of yarn. So be very, very careful taking it out. On top, you'll have two about 10-inch pieces of yarn and one very, very long. It's about 53 feet if you count it, if you measure it, I should say. And it's folded up, and you want to be very, very careful. Right in the middle, there should be a string that's wrapped around. So that's the part that we're going to be working from, is that wrapped around string. We don't want our yarn to get tangled up. Alright, and all you will need extra is a pair of scissors and some crayons or markers or colored pencils, whatever you'd like to color your bookmark. So first, I would recommend coloring in your bookmark however you want it, or you can save that for later and color it after the fact. But once you tie on your pom-pom, it's going to be a little bit harder just because it won't lay flat because of the knot. Now you can color both sides, or you can just leave it blank on one side, color anything you want. I'm gonna color, I did purple stripes here on that one, and I think I'm going to color, we have some glittery gold, I think will look very nice with the black. And I'm just gonna do some swirls. You can do whatever you want. You can write a phrase on it. You can make a little scene on it, like a landscape, a river, or mountains, or hills. You can draw an animal on it. You can write that you like to read. You can write your favorite book on it. You can draw the cover from your favorite book book character. There's a whole bunch of different options that you can do. I like how this looks. And it's got nice glitter on it. And I think that'll look nice together with the black. So now that I'm ready to make my pom-pom, if you're not finished coloring yet, you take your time. You can pause the video and come back. Now you might need an adult for this. It should be wrapped around your hand about 90 times. But if you have a smaller hand than I do, it might be a lot more wrapping. So you want to be very careful. We're going to wrap this big, long, 53-foot piece of yarn. And then one of the pieces of the 10-inch, we are going to lay flat so it's ready for us. Alright, so the way we make these pom-poms is we're going to gently unravel that middle piece. That's our starting point. Now hopefully your yarn shouldn't be tangled up, but if it does get tangled up, try to stop and start again and try to untangle it. And again, you might need an adult to help out. Alright, but if you pull too much on a knot, it might be very hard to get it out. So just be careful. We're going to start off with the yarn. We're going to hold it right like that, and we're going to wrap it around. And now once it wraps once, we can probably let go of holding it. And we can keep wrapping. And you want to try to wrap around the thickest, widest part of your hand. You don't want to go too tight. You don't want to cut off any circulation from your hand. Alright, so we're going to just be very careful, and it gets wrapped around like that. And we're all finished. You might have seen a few times I got slightly tangled, and it's really, it just kind of bunches up. It's not really in a knot, and you just kind of shake it off a little bit. Alright, so now that our yarn is all wrapped around our hand, you're going to carefully take it from the middle here, like that, and slide it off our hand, and kind of bunch it all together. So the part that was at the top of your hand should be like on the top, and the part that was in the bottom should be on the bottom. And we're going to bring it over to our piece of yarn. Right? And we're going to gently lay it in the middle, and we are going to tie a knot. So we're going to grab the one 10-inch piece and the other 10-inch piece, and we're going to tie a tight knot. So it's going to cross, go under, and we're going to pull as tight as we can, and then we're going to tie a knot. But not a bow. We want it to just be hanging out. If you did those stress balloons, stress balls with me, this is very similar to what we did. Alright, so now it just has a knot right in the middle. It's hard to see, and it'll be hard to see on yours. If you have a different color than black, it might be a little bit different. But we have one piece out here, and we have another piece out there. Alright, so now what we're going to do, we're going to take our pair of scissors, and as you can see, right above your knot and below your knot, so right at the top and the bottom, all of those pieces of yarn have formed little loops. So we're going to go around and cut all of the loops. But be careful not to cut your piece that you just tied around, okay? So we're just going to cut. Try to get as much in the middle of the loops as possible so that your string is even. You might miss some, might be some loops in the middle, underneath. So you just want to cut those. Should start to look like this. Mine looks like a spider. Have a different color. It'll look maybe like a little monster. And I'm just going to flip it over and do the top. And cut all of the loops. So now it looks like a big hairy ball, and we want it to look a bit smaller. Now this one is probably the biggest I would go for a bookmark, but if you want to make it smaller, you're welcome to do that. And it's going to take practice. This might be your first pom-pom. It's not always going to be perfect, and that's okay. So just think about that this has to go in between a book, in between the pages, and this will hang outside of the book. So just think about how big you want it to be. If you have a book to test it on, you can do that. Otherwise, we are just going to now trim it. So the closer you get, the more round it'll be. So you want to try to get everything as equal as possible so that you have a nice rounded pom-pom. And in the middle where we tied that string, we want to keep an eye on that and make sure not to cut it still. We want to keep everything together, and we also want to make sure that we have that spot open to tie our other piece of yarn on so that we can tie it to the bookmark. Alright, so let's get cutting. You might want to do this over a garbage can because it'll get a bit messy. You can always wipe it up later. Just kind of go around as you're snipping and look at it from different angles so that it starts to look like a rounded ball. And start to fluff it out to see what it will look like. And you just keep going until you're happy with how it looks. And that it'll still fit on your bookmark and not be too big. Alright, so I finished my pom-pom, and now we are ready to tie it onto the bookmark. So we're going to find that center piece where you tied around your first piece of yarn, and we are going to wrap it around and try to get it a little bit even. You might have to move aside some of what you just did and we'll refluff it up back later. Alright, so now we're going to find our bookmark and we are going to stick it through the hole. So there's two pieces wrapped around. We're going to stick them through the hole. We're kind of wanting to leave a little bit of space so that has a little bit of room to flap around and hang. But if you can't get that, that's fine too. And we are just going to wrap it around and tie a knot. So it's going to be these two, and we're going to kind of put them on top of where they were before. You might need an adult for this. It gets a little tricky, especially if you're not used to tying knots. And we're not going to tie a bow, so it's just going to be one little over and under back through. Make sure you get both ends in there, and then we are going to gently pull so we don't rip our bookmark. Right, and if you have enough yarn, you can do a double knot. Otherwise, it's good to go. If you want to put an extra piece of tape in the back just to be safe, you go right ahead if you weren't sure about how your knot is. Alright, now we're just going to fluff you back up, and there you go. You have a bookmark. And welcome to go right in a book. I And you can color your other bookmark. I didn't punch a hole in here at all, but if you want to use it, if you have your own set of yarn at home, or if you just want to make your own bookmark, you can color that there. And I hope you enjoy, and happy reading. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.